Live from Los Angeles, it's the MMT Golden Globes post-game show. Thanks for joining us live from the City of Angels here on this Sunday night. Typically, our Sunday evening spectacular is always scheduled at this time frame, but we have a special edition because we do have the Globes, and give you my thoughts on what happened here tonight. No major surprises. The biggest surprise to me, you guys know how much I dislike. Okay. Flat out loathe Poor Things. And the fact that Poor Things won Best Comedy or Musical does not sit well with me. But aside from that, nothing too major really went down tonight. We had a feeling that Oppenheimer would do well in drama, and it does with director, with, of course, drama. It just won moments ago, and Cillian Murphy as well. I think right now it's time to go ahead and make Oppenheimer the 1-to-1 favorite to win Best Picture. I had Barbie there for the longest time. I still think it'll be an interesting race. I don't think Barbie is out of it. But after tonight, the Globes just carry a weight, right? I mean, so many people thought the Globes were over. They're never going to come back the way that they were. It's like, okay, yeah, just give it like a year. And that's all it took, a year and a half. And look where we are tonight. We're back talking about the Globes because they do make a difference. They are very much impactful on the race for Oscar. And right now, Oppenheimer has a big-time glow going into the Oscars. Let's go over the winners, and I'll talk about, as you guys know here, Midnight Movie Talk, it's a movie show. We're not talking about the TV shows. In fact, every time there was some TV award, like, what's this? I don't even know what The Bear... I know what Succession is from the name. I know The Bear. I don't watch these shows. Like, what is beef? Don't make me break out the Arby's joke that I just used on Twitter. Oh, my God, it was terrible. But let's do it. Let's talk about what happened. Let's go in reverse order. What we just saw moments ago, winning drama, Oppenheimer, really no surprise. You're talking about between Barbie and Oppenheimer, two of the biggest, the zeitgeist capturing films of 2023 from Christopher Nolan. It's time for Nolan. It's time for Oppenheimer. This is a film that's beloved by virtually everybody. Nobody has anything terrible to say about the film. It might not be exactly what you want. Certainly isn't for me. It's not the screenplay I would necessarily write. But overall, as a filmmaking achievement, you're looking at an easy Best Picture winner contender, and it looks like it's going to happen with the win here. Let's go backward from there, and we go to Poor Things again. I can't. I really am at a point where I don't want to discuss that vile film. I mean, I really mean that. It's abhorrent, and it is unpleasant, and I don't even want to discuss it. I will say I sent a tweet a little bit ago talking about what that film revolves around and the fact that when you celebrate some kind of garbage like that, which it is, it's a garbage film, and you give it a best anything, then you're signaling to the normal person, what the hell? Okay, that is what we're doing when you have Poor Things winning over a film like The Holdovers sitting right there. The Holdovers is... we're talking about not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, how many times we talk about Moneyball? There's The Holdovers. There's 1,000 Feet of Crap. Then there's Poor Things. That's what we did here tonight. We went and took the film that's under 1,000 feet of crap and made it the winner for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy over The Holdovers. Laughable, terrible, but that's not where it ended. You go and you look at animated here. And I said this, been tweeting crazy tonight because I'm just ready to go. Tonight's show is going to be off the hook because I'm not going to hold back. Not that I ever do. But it's really a night where some of the things that happened made me furious beyond Poor Things. When you look at A Boy and the Heron, if this were not a Miyazaki film, you would not be praising this film as some kind of masterpiece. You wouldn't. You know why you do? Because it's Miyazaki, so it's got to be great. That is what film Twitter specializes in. They have no ability whatsoever to stay objective. If this were by some random dude or girl or anybody other than Miyazaki, this would not be a winning film in animated, particularly when you've got Across the Spider-Verse sitting right there, one of the best films of the year. The Boy and the Heron is not even a great anime movie, let alone the best animated film of the year. I would probably go Sesame over that film. And Sesame's not even great. Belle is a fantastic anime film. It's my favorite film. One of my favorite films of the past several years is Belle. But why is The Boy and the Heron winning? Because we now celebrate directors. Even if the movie's just like, not great, we're still going to say it's great because the director has a pedigree. No, we don't do that shit. We start at zero for every film. As much as I love Rose Glass, when I see the next film comes out here soon, it's at Sundance in weeks. God, I wish I could see that film right now. I love Saint Maud, but I can promise you this. When I get to that film, I'm going to set the scale back to zero. That's how you do it. Film Twitter doesn't know how to do that shit. It's always about the... Yorgos Lanthimos is such a learned guy. He's such a cinephilic director. He's perfect. The film's great. You haven't even watched it. Oh, but I know it. And then of course, it's great because it's Yorgos, because it's Miyazaki. Don't do that. Be your own critical thinker. Always set the scale back to zero. 2 terrible wins tonight. An embarrassment. I mean, absolutely embarrassing situation for the Golden Globes to award Poor Things and The Boy and the Heron over The Holdovers and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Embarrassing. I mean, I would probably, as you guys know, if I haven't, I've talked about this innumerable times here on the stream. For those of you just joining us for the first time here tonight, let me tell you something. When I roll about HCA and then Critics' Choice, I dropped out of both organizations because I don't want to deal with celebration of shit films, which is exactly what happened here tonight with the Golden Globes. I would walk up, I'd say, here's my HFPA card. Take it. I'm done. I'm out. I'm leaving. I have principles. If you guys can't tell that by now, then you don't know who you're watching or who you're reading on the tweets. You guys know damn well that I stand for exactly what I believe in, and I would walk out in disgust over Poor Things, over Holdovers, and The Boy and the Heron over Across the Spider-Verse. Terrible, terrible. I mean, just abomination of wins. All right, let's go to Barbie. It did win the Cinematic and Box Office Achievement. That's how you get Barbie its moment of glory. That's why I say it's not over yet for Barbie. There is no cinematic and box office achievement, as you know, for the Oscars. As such, if you want to reward Barbie, you have to do so in only so many categories. You don't have this one to say, hey, this is where we want to really recognize Barbie. You don't have that option. As such, it will be a player for Best Picture because, as we've seen, before anyone starts losing their shit and going, oh, well, it's Barbie versus Oppenheimer's a better movie. We just had, think of the best pictures we just had. Okay. Everything Everywhere. And then before that, Coda. Who's the guy who said Coda was a TV movie when it was out? The only guy. Now that it's like 2 years on, you all jumping on the ship. Don't do that shit. Join me when it's time. Like in a few weeks now, when everyone's trashing Poor Things, going, wait a second, is this you're glorifying like a 2-year-old having sex? That's what it is. Her baby's brains are playing in her head. So she's having sex as a toddler. And we're going to celebrate. And then when it all turns, it all's going to turn. And then you all going to be like, oh, Weber. Yeah, join me when it's time now. Don't join me when it's safe. Don't jump in when it's safe. Jump in now, okay? Don't be afraid to call shit what it is when it's happening. Don't wait to join that club where I'm the only guy out there taking bullets. Not that I'll do it all day, all night. I don't give a crap. Look at me, man. You guys see what I do in the gym? This shit's a joke. That's why I roll up and go, I don't think so. Boom, 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 boom. All these other people are like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to get dragged by a bunch of random internet strangers. Some dweeby film nerds. I don't know if I want to get dragged by those people. You know damn well, first of all, you ain't dragging me. Good luck keeping up with me is the first thing you got to do, which I know you can't. But Barbie wins Cinematic Box Office Achievement. That makes the most sense. Made the most money of any of these movies that are here. So you're talking about Box Office Achievement. What made the most money? And obviously, what was the big zeitgeist hit? That is Barbie. Let's go to best motion picture non-English language, which of course is international feature and in the old days foreign language. You have Anatomy of a Fall winning, and that is a big story here tonight as well. If you're a big film fan, you already know that France did not take Anatomy of a Fall as its submission for the Oscars. They went with the taste of things. And as such, Anatomy of a Fall has no shot to win international feature / foreign language at the Oscars. So its only chance for success at the Oscars outside of screenplay, which we know it won as well here tonight. We'll talk about that in a moment. But when you look at a film that doesn't have a shot to win international feature, which, by the way, will be Zone of Interest. It's my favorite. I've seen Anatomy of Fall. I've seen Zone of Interest. I've not seen Side of the Snow. Past Lives does not qualify. And I've not seen Capitano, the Italy film, yet. I'm going to try to get as many as possible for the Oscars. But here's the reality. Zone of Interest will win. And it always was going to win. If it were Anatomy of a Fall in there, it would be interesting. But because it was removed, its only chance is Best Picture. So Neon is thrilled here tonight because you get the win in the category it's not going to be represented in at the Oscars, and then you get that screenplay. And remember, the Golden Globes only give one screenplay, so it carries even more weight, right? It's not 5 and 5. It's not 10 films. It's 5 films that we're going with, and as such, when it wins, or was it 6? Did they go 6 this year? Either way, it's a smaller category. It's only one screenplay, adapted and original in one, and therefore you have a win, and that will help you ascend that Best Picture ladder. I have a feeling it's going to get in. Right now, here's the problem. Let me pull up Awards Ace. I'm going to show you guys. You guys know that's my website, awardsace.com. And I will show you where we stand on my rankings. And right now, it might be a little bit different. I got to update it. But let me look and see where we are. Let me pop it up, and I'll share it, and we will explain where we are in the Best Picture race. Okay, the number one film, as I have here, is still the number one film. It is Oppenheimer. I'm still going to place Barbie in number 2 because of the preferential ballot. As you guys know, what happens is you put these 10 films into a ring, and everybody puts them in preferential order of how they like the film. So your number one film, the favorite film that you saw, for me, The Holdovers, would be number 1. Well, here's the thing. Is Barbie going to be number 10 on any ballots? 9? No. Barbie's going to end up being somewhere near the top. Any film that's going to end up in those top 5, top 6, that's going to go a long way in a preferential ballot, especially if it ends up in some number 1s, and it will. Barbie will end up on some number 1s, number 2s, and number 3s. Oppenheimer, though, still has the edge. Killers of the Flower Moon will be our 3 seed. Maestro, a film I finally got around to. I'm a big fan of Maestro. You guys know I despise Netflix for everything they stand for when it comes to not standing for theatrical. And as such, I do not want to support any of their product, but in the name of objectivity. And what I do is, if anything, is being objective 24/7. When I watch Maestro, very impressed with that film, and especially the filmmaking. When you look at Bradley Cooper's direction, you look at the editing of that film, the cinematography, that film really stands out. So I have no problem putting that as the 4 spot. Number 5 is Holdovers. If it would have won tonight, I think we could move it up. As such, I'm still going to leave it in the 5 spot. That doesn't mean it can't win. It just means that it probably won't. I mean, it's going to, 99% of this is going to go to Oppenheimer. The rest of this is just kind of just conjecture. We're throwing shit out there for why not. Poor Things, I can't believe it just won here tonight. I don't want to get into it again. It's number 6. Past Lives did not win the international feature tonight. It was nominated at the Globes, did not get that. That would have helped. And so it's at the 7th spot. American Fiction, a film that, interesting about American Fiction, we've talked about it quite a bit. My thoughts on the film, I love the central idea of the film. Author who's having trouble getting success, so he writes a real ghetto film, right? And because he has to create this persona of someone who lived that life, that is the conceit of the film, and it's really great until you pile on all this family shit, and the film turns into some episodic thing, which is, of course, Cord Jefferson came from the world of episodic television. And so when you watch that film, you see what really feels more like a TV show. It's a shame because American Fiction could have been really good. I think that American Fiction could be in trouble. I have it 8 right now. I'm still going to put the zone of interest in. And this is where it gets interesting because really Anatomy of a Fall it's not going to win. Anatomy of a Fall has no chance of winning, right? So when we talk about this 8, 9, 10 spot, these films are never going to win. 7, 8, 6, 6, 7, all the back 5 of this, no chance. So we're talking about The Color Purple versus Anatomy of a Fall versus the Zone of Interest versus American Fiction. Those are your 4 in a cage battle for those 3 spots. Right now, I'm still leaving Anatomy of a Fall out. I'm really close to putting it in, but I'm telling you, The Color Purple is a very strong film. I liked it a lot, and I think Hollywood is going to want to recognize that film somewhere. In addition to Fantasia and Danielle Brooks in supporting, I think it will get in. So then you're talking about what's not getting in. Is it going to be Past Lives? Doubtful. Is it going to be American Fiction? Possibly. And then you would have to get Zone of Interest out of there. So that's going to be an interesting spot there at that end spot. What is going to end up with those 9, 10? Remember, at the end of the day, this is just so you can have on your promotional materials going forward Oscar Best Picture nominee. No chance of winning. These films at the bottom of the rung have no chance of winning. Oppenheimer is likely going to win this. By the way, if you have a comment, come in. Do me a favor here tonight because we've got a busy stream. I want to do super chats are easy. I don't even care. Honest to God, this is not like some plea to let's raise cash. I'm not that guy. You know me, guys. I don't even like beg for likes and stuff. I'm not Gore on here. Please like and subscribe. I don't even say that shit, right? When? Never. I don't. I just do the show. It is what it is. But if you can come in with a super chat, it's going to make my life easier because I don't have to go through a billion comments. That's the problem. I'm all by myself trying to do a show live with very little pause. As you guys know, very little, like, okay, that's it. That was the first pause of the night. I think Barbie should be number 3 after tonight. I mean, possibly. Listen, if you're gonna take Poor Things at 2, no, God, no. No, we can't. Listen. Oh, man, let me just say that if I'm not kidding, guys, if Poor Things wins Best Picture, I think I'm going to pack it up. And I know that's for a lot. They're cheering. Everyone's like at home going, yes, that's what let's go, Poor Things. Weber will retire. It's over. It's done. We don't have to listen to that. Fine. But I'm telling you, if it wins, because all we're doing at this point, right? We said so many times, you look at the past 2. All we're doing at this point is we are stacking shit films on top of each other as Best Picture winners. As such, what would be more fitting than to throw Poor Things on top of Coda, Everything Everywhere, and then Poor Things? How could you? We could go a million more years, which God knows we're not. The world's not going to last, I don't know, maybe another 10. But we'll never have a stretch as bad as that, right? I mean, with those 3 films, I mean, listen, Coda's not terrible. And Everything Everywhere is not terrible. I don't hate Everything Everywhere. I think it's one of the most overrated films that we've ever encountered in the history of cinema. But Coda is a TV movie. I mean, what is this? Remember that year? Sean Hayter was like nowhere for director. Like nowhere. No one even thought of her as a director. Like, how is this possible that no one's even discussing the director in any way of merit anywhere? And yet the film's going to win Best Picture? Have we ever, like, it's never happened. It's happened like one time. Like, she wasn't even nominated for a director anywhere. Not even in like Indianapolis Film Critics Circle. Dayton, Ohio. No, they skipped over her. Waco, Texas said no. Topeka didn't even want anything to do with Heater. What are we doing? I mean, what are we doing here? But it would be perfect, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be watch out, Maestro was not mid. I completely and utterly vehemently disagree with that from a filmmaking perspective, guys. Maestro is really top work. You again watch the edits of that film. It's so smooth. And remember, we talked about Anatomy of a Fall, the editing in that film. You need to be able to. We talk about it all the time. Let me get my 3D glasses. You put on the 3D glasses, right? We go in to watch the movie. There it is, and then we suddenly see the entire film get in front of us, and we see all the elements stack. And then we start to, like Minority Report, swipe, 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 swipe. What works? Boom, editing, boom, cinematography, boom. And when you watch Maestro, you've got that thing there. You're doing the Minority Report. You got all of it there. You're like cinematography, editing, performances, mulligan for sure. So you've got that right there. You've already got 3 big keys. And you're talking about best picture. We're talking about the best of all the elements combined. That's what I'm looking for. So that's why an Oppenheimer fits the bill as a best picture, because it has all of the elements you're looking for within a film, including score, right? Look at Ludwig winning tonight. Let's continue along with that as we get more comments as I keep going here. I'll get to as many as possible, I promise you. But let's continue. Ludwig, I want to mention that's the best score of the year. You look at what Göransson did both here and then go back to Tenet. Wasn't even shortlisted, was it? Didn't get nominated, Tenet. But what? How? Tenet? And then finally here tonight, you see him win. It's got to win. The other one I like in there is Micah or Mika. Is it Mika or Micah? Levi. Unbelievable. The use of score in Zone of Interest is what I'm talking about. And if you haven't seen it, because trust me, nobody's seen it. They're doing like a super small rollout on that film. It's like in 4 theaters in New York and LA right now. I think they're waiting until closer to the Oscars to kind of expand the scope, but it's never going to be a big, wide thing. 500. You need 500 screens, 600 screens. You need to go see Zone of Interest, because when you watch, you're going to see the use of score in that film, and that is for max impact, and that's what I love. Mika, whichever way it is, we love you, because one of the best out there. You have to look at that score, but I love Ludwig in that. I mean, it's one of the best. And listen, also the other thing that you got to remember with a Nolan film, and look back to Tenet, look at obviously Interstellar, any of his films, name a film, you're looking at a director who uses score more than probably any other director. And usually that's a bad thing, right? We talk about movies that have too much score. It's overscored. But in the case of Ludwig Göransson scoring your film, you could have scored all the entire time. 3-hour runtime, I want a 3-hour score from you, because it's Ludwig Göransson. But if we end up with a Desplat or something like, or God forbid, Lorne Balfe for 3 hours, you're going to be ripping your eyeballs out, because that's not talent. Ludwig has special talent. Micah has special talent. I think Pemberton has special talent. There's only so many people that are great, right? Not everybody who just conducts is fantastic, composes, not everybody. Let's get to best performance by a male actor in drama would be Cillian Murphy. So it really comes down to this. We got Giamatti winning in comedy. So you're looking at the 2 of them at the top going for best actor. For me right now, if you were to ask me who is going to win best actor, I'm going to go with Giamatti. It's going to be close. Guys, that race is going to be insanely close. I mean, it's going to be like down to the last. In fact, I've got to put Giamatti up. I've got him 3 right here. You've got Cooper in there too. I don't think Cooper should drop. I'm going to do that. But it's really going to come down to, honest to God, 100 votes. That's what's going to come down to. Cillian Murphy, Paul Giamatti, out of the entire Academy votes, 10,000 plus members right now. I believe that's correct. Something like that. You're looking at maybe 100 or 200 votes. That it's going to be that close. It's going to be a margin of error of like 1 or 2, 3%. It's going to be so small, because everybody, these are the top 2. For me, if you were to ask me who am I voting for, I'm voting for Giamatti. Giamatti is the best performance this year by any actor or actress in any film. Very much like Cate Blanchett last year, as we saw with Tar. Come on, guys, that was not, once a decade stuff, and she didn't win. So we can't have that happen again. I want Giamatti to win. I think Cillian Murphy, the issue for me is with Cillian Murphy is that when you watch Oppenheimer, he doesn't have to stretch his acting muscles beyond being a cold, calculating son of a bitch. He has to, of course, go through the motions in his eyes, realizing what he created. But he doesn't have to do, Giamatti's got to do more. He just does. Okay. And an acting coach would tell me that I'm right. All I'm asking you is this: when you have two performances and you have them slotted about equal, you have to ask yourself which one was the harder performance to deliver. And when you go back to last year and you look at Austin Butler in Elvis, how did he not win? That is a harder performance, much harder performance than Brendan Fraser. And let's not even discuss how terrible The Whale is. The only guy who said The Whale, one of the worst screenplays I've ever seen for any awards film, utter train wreck, embarrassment, my God. And I said that. Now everyone comes around The Whale. You guys are all laughing at it. Why do I always have to be the first guy in? Why do I always have to be the first guy to say something shit, and then you all come in a year later going, yeah, you're right, that was a shitty movie. Do it now. Come in now and tell me Poor Thing sucks ass. Don't wait a year. Don't wait a year when it's turned. Come in now. You need to have that kind of balls. Don't go along with the crowd, the film Twitter dweebs. Let them do their thing. They're wrong 99% of the time, or they just have no bearing on reality. They don't even understand what, the real average person has any interest in watching. I love a good weird film, but Poor Things isn't even that. It's a terrible weird film. Pretentious, abhorrent. God, let's not do it. I don't want to be positive here tonight, guys. We're celebrating. All right, let's go to continue on the next thing here, which should be female actor in a motion picture drama. Lily Gladstone has this sewed up. It's over. She's going to win Oscar. I've called it from day one. It's going to be Emma Stone, obviously winning for comedy. Don't get me started. Lily Gladstone wins. She has been the winner from day one. I said this months ago. I didn't need to see a single critics group come through for me to know that Lily Gladstone is winning for Killers of the Flower Moon. Give me a like if you agree. Come in the comments. You know I'm right. She is winning this because it's the perfect narrative. You've got to remember that it's not just about the performance, going back to what we just talked about with Elvis versus The Whale. And when you look at those, listen, it's the narrative. It's the narrative that won that last year. It is 100% for Fraser, that narrative, his return into Hollywood, that got him the win. Because I'm telling you, Austin Butler, much harder performance, better performance, my God, and he was robbed because of the narrative. So it doesn't even matter what these other contenders have to offer. At the end of the day, Lily Gladstone, her performance, but also the narrative, gets her the win here over Emma Stone, over anyone else who's even in the picture. Okay. Margot Robbie, listen, we go back to performance from Barbie. I remember when I first watched the film. I've only seen it one time. I think that is a performance that gets better as the film progresses, right? But of course, the character progresses, so that makes sense. But I feel like at the beginning, it wasn't really, and then she kind of finds her footing. Interesting, because when I watched Maestro, I thought the exact same thing. I said, we watch Bradley Cooper at first. I'm like, oh, that's Bradley Cooper with makeup and a big nose, and this is... And then as the film progresses, you start to see Bernstein instead of Cooper. And that's what I saw with Barbie. Same kind of thing, right? You see Margot Robbie really become Barbie. Interesting, right? To watch that happen unfold. You've seen it in films in past, right? Where someone initially you're like, and then by the end you're like, okay, I get it. I see it. They find their footing. And if you think about it, if a film's shot sequentially, which a lot of films are, not every film is shot sequentially, but if it were, then that would make sense too, because the actors beginning on the journey, they're finding their character during that shoot. However many days or weeks or months that shoot is, you're going to likely get into that character more and more as that film progresses, as the shooting progresses. It just makes sense, doesn't it? All right, let's continue with our next category, which would be... We got Giamatti in there. Oh, let's go supporting. That's RDJ's winning that. We knew that from day one. I mean, that's a win. It's a narrative too. It's Robert Downey Jr. He's no longer just Iron Man. He can do other with, like, we didn't know that, but we had to be reminded, right? Oh, that's right. Robert Downey Jr. is a hell of an actor. Okay. So he wins. That's not even a contest. And supporting's been over for a long time too. Divine Joy Randolph from The Holdovers, deservedly so. The Holdovers, I just wish would have won comedy tonight, but she's fantastic in that film, isn't she? She's winning. And then Nolan will win director. Regardless of whether Oppenheimer wins picture, which I think it does, I think that Nolan should win director, hands down. That's easy. And then best screenplay, we talked about Anatomy of a Fall, and they're huge for that film going forward. It'll get in for screenplay for sure, but does it get a best picture? Right now, I'm going to say yes, but I got to push something out. It might be American Fiction. It might be American Fiction that sees itself looking looking in, because here's the reality. Color Purple, which is a bigger film, just answer this. If you had to pick one, if you were left with the task, and just think, if you had to bet, which film's getting in, American Fiction or The Color Purple? Tell me right now, which one's getting in? You know damn well it's Color Purple. It's not going to be American Fiction. So if it's between those two, it's going to be that 100%. So that will be the real test to see what happens in that number 10 spot. I can't wait to see. That's where it's interesting. The rest of the stuff's kind of like we already know what's going to happen. All right, comments, open comment times here on this. This is a fun show for me. I always enjoy, and the best part is when you've been watching these films and you know these films as intimately as I do. We've been discussing them now for the better part of 4 months, 5, 6 months, almost a year in some of the cases. You really have a good grasp on the material, and you can go any which way you want to go with this stuff. And that's kind of the beauty of doing a show live and having you guys to bounce off of, is that you have that knowledge to work off of. Obviously, I think there's a lot of people out there that do this that don't have the knowledge. They might have even watched the movies, but they just don't have the insight that you need to do this. It's not just about being able to rattle shit off on a mic live. It's about rattling smart shit off, not all the time, but a lot of the time. And that's the key that you have to be able to do. Beekeeper, go watch my reaction to that. That was fun last night. What a screenplay. Oh, God. David Ayer. Find someone who can write a film, because that is not it. The Beekeeper. It's early January, guys. We're screwed. A24 had a bad night while Neon scored with Anatomy. A24 didn't have a win tonight, right? Neon's got to love this, because Neon really hasn't had a lot of success this year. You look at a studio coming off of Parasite, that 2019 year. I think that there has not been, and I said this back then, go back and look for the receipts. There has not been a studio/distributor that has had a stronger year, to my knowledge, ever than Neon in 2019. It wasn't just Parasite. It was Loose. It was Wild Rose. It was a small foreign film, Monos, with a Micah Levi score. It was, there's like 2 or 3. They had so many films that year. It was frightening how stacked 2019 was for Neon, and they have not really had that success. Remember, they had Ammonite, went nowhere. They have not enjoyed as much. They need to have this really hit. And trust me, having talked to them in numerous functions here in LA, they are very much aware of the importance of what happened here tonight with Anatomy of a Fall getting that Best Picture nomination. Again, it's not about it's going to win Best Picture. It's about just getting it so it can get more views ultimately and more buys when it shows up on digital, or maybe you actually venture to a theater to see it, right? Best Picture nominee. That's everything. The studios know it. Everybody knows it. And Neon's keenly aware that tonight was huge for Anatomy of a Fall. The Nibiru glasses. Maybe we'll do an MMT Gets Freaky here later tonight. Those of you who've never watched, oh God, you guys be like, what the hell is this? Well, I'm sure you're already saying this. You're probably saying, what the hell is this show? And I don't blame you. I would say the same thing if I were watching right now. Bradley Cooper made Bernstein the least interesting genius ever. Sham, I will put you in timeout so fast. Listen, I don't think the strength of Maestro is in Bradley Cooper, the performer, as much as Bradley Cooper, the director, right? We've talked about this so often about films, and Maestro is such a great jumping off point and a perfect film to discuss when we talk about identifying what a film does well and then saying, hey, not everything's perfect, but the things that are great or elite are here, right? They're here. So if we have maybe a performance, now granted, a central performance, I'm not going to argue, maybe is here, but you have an editing and a cinematography and an overall direction and feel of a film that's here, then that's why we're going to go up. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's not just about, the performance, because it's not a bad performance. I think, again, it gets better as the film goes on. So I am a fan of Maestro. And for me to say that, you guys know I believe it, because I hate Netflix. I mean, I can't even stand Netflix because they hate you going to the movies. They don't have AMC, Regal, Cinemark, none of that. They have one theater here, the Egyptian, which is amazing. I got to say, what a job they did on that. But in a couple of theaters, in some random indie theaters, which we love, but that can't be the sustenance of your cinematic footprint, is some theater that you got to drive 50 miles to. No, you want to see it at AMC or Regal. Why can I go watch a Sony Pictures Classic movie at AMC? I mean, guys, that's what I'm saying. Like, why am I? Can I also, again? It's Weber bitching about being the only guy again. Why do I have to be the only person out there carrying the flag going, fuck Netflix? Why do I have to be that? Why am I the only guy? Why am I the guy? Why isn't there anybody else? Why isn't another film person going, F Netflix? You know why? Because here it is again. Damn it. Every time. 99% of the film people in this space are, right? Might have some kids watching. They are weak-ass bitches, okay? And at the end of the day, they won't want to lose that access. I might not get that link or that invite to the party. That's why I said F off Critics' Choice, F off HCA. I don't have time for this shit. I'm going to say what I want to say, and you're not going to constrain me by the members bitching about me destroying Poor Things. Oh, Weber's being mean. Take your blanket outside, cry in it. I don't have time for this shit. That's the people we're dealing with in this space. They don't have the balls to stand up and say the reality of the situation. We have a bunch of faux-ass, whiny bitches. It's true. You guys know I'm right. That's why I'm the only guy out there saying Netflix is trash, because everyone else would be like, oh, Netflix might not invite me to the party. Oh, let me get my validation from going to the party and hanging out in the corner and looking at a star. How about you not put these people on pedestals? How about you just say they're talented at what they do, but otherwise, who cares? I mean, come on, guys. But I'm the only guy. I'm the only guy who will sit out there and do that. The rest of them are all like, I don't know if I want to do that. People could come after me. Simeon, why aren't people talking about how disgusting and perverted the plot of Poor Things is? Bella Baxter literally walks and talks like a baby. This is what I just said in the tweet. Simeon, let's read the tweet. And again, here comes Fearless Weber again. Fearless Weber attacking, because I'm the only guy who will say the reality. And here's the thing. You guys come in right now and you tell me, is this fair or is this not fair? I am 100% down with that. You ready to go? Everybody ready to play? Get ready to play. Here's the game. You ready? Emma Stone wins Golden Globes for playing a woman with her own toddler's brain implanted in her head, experiencing sex as a 2-year-old mind would. And you wonder why mainstream America hates Hollywood so much. Here's the thing. Am I wrong? Tell me where I'm wrong. If you have not seen Poor Things, Simeon, you put it here perfectly. Bella, her character, dies committing suicide, jumping off a bridge. Doesn't matter if you guys haven't seen Poor Things. Screw it. It's not worth sitting through. You're going to hate yourself at the end of it, probably about 10 minutes into it. So you won't even get to the end. So William Dafoe takes her brain out and Frankenstein's her unborn baby's brain in her body as she develops as a toddler, and then is swept away by Mark Ruffalo and shagged across the globe. Eventually, she ends up in a whorehouse with a guy who brings his 2 young kids in to watch as she shags the dad. And remember, she has the brain of a 2-year-old. And you're going to tell me I'm the guy who's wrong about Poor Things? I'm the guy. Maybe you're the guy who's wrong, not you, Simeon. That's the thing. It is disturbing. It is uncomfortable, isn't it? It sure as hell is. Why am I the only guy who will go here? It is 100. Tell me it's inaccurate. Tell me what I just said is inaccurate. Somebody, come on. Come in and tell me. Thank you, Tucker. Come in and tell me. Tell me. No, What I'm asking you is what I'm telling you here tonight unfair? That's all I'm asking. That's all I care. That's all I'm asking you. It's not. It's 100% fair because I didn't just make something up. Simeon just had it. Simeon literally just said, I don't know why people aren't talking about it. Because here's the thing is the weird thing, and I will fully admit this. When I came out of the film, I was so disgusted by the film that I couldn't even put my finger on why I hated it so much. I just go, this film is anti everything that I personally hold in my soul. Okay. It's not just about hating a movie, it's about anti humanity in a way. And I go, this isn't good. Like, and then I start to sit on it and ruminate, and people bringing stuff up like, Simeon, you bring this up. And it's like, this is disgusting. It is. And I'm sorry if it's uncomfortable, but it's also fair. It's also fair. That's the point. If it's not fair, tell me. Tell me. Did she say the same thing? No, but no one's saying exactly what it is. I'm just telling you, it's disturbing. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you don't see it that way, but it's fair. That's the problem. That's the thing is, listen, at the end of the day, if you're going to come and watch MMT, if you're going to be, following me on Twitter, if you're going to get an idea of what I do, the one thing that I do is speak truths. Now, they might not be, they're my truths, 100%. But at the end of the day, I believe that I am about as fair as it gets in this space without question. So if I'm going to render a judgment on a situation, it's going to be a fair, objective decision. I'm not making stuff up about Poor Things. I'm telling you the facts about the film, and then I'm asking you to refute the facts. Can you refute anything I just said? Of course you can. So that's what I'm asking. Because if I was coming on here making shit up, that's different, right? Well, actually, he didn't write it, Richard. He didn't write it. I think he had something to do with it. It's based on a book. Now, I don't know who the book is written by. It's a female author. I don't know. I've never read the book. I can't tell you what was changed in the movie. I can't answer those questions. I'm just telling you what I see in the movie. What I see in the movie is not what I want to see in real life. That is not the kind of film. And it's weird to me that people haven't put that together. And I think this is why I talk about if this film turns like it could, and frankly should, if it turns like it could or should, this is going to end up being really bad for Emma Stone. Not just sort of bad. This is going to be catastrophic for her because you got to remember, she agreed to make the film under she read the script. She knew what the movie's about. Yorgos is her, collaborator. They know what the movie's about. Right? So just saying, if it happens, you heard it here first. Other people are starting to make noise. I'm just pointing out what the realities of the situation is. I do see another super chat. Thank you, Sir Sham. Appreciate it. I get you on Maestro. Technically great. Just wasn't caring about who the Maestro was. Love Mulligan. It was interesting. I cared about, but Cooper made me feel bored. Understood. I'm not suggesting there's times, and I've had this discussion with people before. I will openly admit that I value technical filmmaking very high. If I see a film that is technically very proficient, elite in many areas, score, here are the three without question: cinematography, score, editing. You give me those three that are just like, right? And of course, in here, you don't have a score. You've got Bernstein's work, which is used very well by Cooper. But when you have those elements that are graded so high, I'm going to like the film. The chances of me not liking it, that's why I typically love an A24 film, because listen, for whatever we want to say about A24 films, they're always going to be artistically directed. There's going to be great cinematography, a cool score, and it's going to look and feel just like a really hip cinema. And I think that's what I'm looking for. So if I'm at least there, then I can go, and typically then you'd say, well, then Poor Things. Well, the problem is the script can't be Poor Things, right? I have limits. There's limits to what I'm talking about. And I think that Maestro, and I agree 100%, I agree with this too, Richard, that it shows more in this film than A Star is Born. Even though I really do appreciate Star is Born. I think he's better as an actor in Star is Born and stronger as a director in Maestro, which, listen, whatever the next film is, if he can get those two things at the same time, then we're talking about, right, a Best Picture. But listen, if Maestro were to win Best Picture, I wouldn't. Listen, I can tell you this. Maestro, for me, is graded higher than Coda. It's graded higher than Everything Everywhere as well for me. So when you're talking about maybe winning Best Picture, which it's not, but I wouldn't have a problem with it, right? I have a problem with Coda. I mean, who wouldn't? Here it is. Who is it, Joe? It's Alistair Gray. Maybe I'll look into the book, but I have no idea. What? Two ladies on my shirt, or two. Listen, this is my Kappa jersey tonight. This is you guys. For those of you who do not know, every time I do a stream, I reach into the closet and I grab another kit. Tonight is Venezia, and this is Kappa, right? So Kappa's one of the kit makers out there, along with, your Adidas, your Nike, your Puma, your Joma, your Macron, on and on we go. But I love Kappa, and this is this kit in particular. This year, I think it was 2020. They made this like three of the baddest ass shirts I've ever seen, and I finally got a hold of this one, and I love it. And it's perfect. It's got the gold, right, for the trophies. So thank you for noticing. Charles Melton is going to have to get used to smiling and nodding as RDJ keeps picking up prizes. No question. I mean, listen, RDJ's got it. It's over, right? It is. It's just one of those. You're there. You're having fun. You're having fun. And you're excited to be in the building. You're never going to win. You don't have to worry about giving a speech either. Tucker, great question. You know what? Let's pivot to that. Let's pivot to the most anticipated movies of 2024. And this is where you guys come in and you tell me what you want to see in 2024. I mean, right off the top, I've got to pull up the THR article. I know they did one, and I was just glancing at it. Let me just get to it, and we will go to right off the bat. Listen, for me, what am I most excited to see? The Rose Glass film. Okay. That's got to be way up at the top. Okay. Rose Glass, that film, Joker 2, Dune 2. You got to remember, Dune was my number one film of 2021. So you don't think I want to see Dune 2? I can't wait until March. So yes, those three are instantly at the top of my list. I mean, how do you not have a Joker 2 in your list when you talk about the audacity of Todd Phillips and what he did with Joker? And as much as, listen, for those of you who don't watch the stream, I've said this a million times. For those of you, get your bingo cards out. King of Comedy meets Taxi Driver. King of Comedy, Taxi Driver. I get it. But the fact that Warner Brothers let him make a Joker film that is ultra violent. I mean, you've got him jamming scissors into dudes' skulls and blowing guys' brains out. I mean, you guys, that's intense. So that's impressive from a balls standpoint. We just talked about how critics don't have balls. Todd Phillips has balls, and Warner Brothers has balls for making that film. So the fact that he's making it too, and it's a musical, like, what? He's like, let's make this is going to be, even if it's bad, it's going to be good, because the level of audacity to make this film is what I'm talking about. That's what I want to see. I want to see big swings. They might not always work. I mean, I don't want to see big swings like Poor Things. Don't even say it. I'm still looking for that most anticipated. But who isn't excited for that? Who isn't excited for that? Who isn't excited for Dune 2? I mean, you talk about the most interesting thing for me, I think, going forward about this film, Dune 2, when we get to this in March, this is going to be the big story next year. Can this film, Dune 2, carry all that momentum through the entire year? We've said so many times that the hardest thing to do as an awards film is to debut early in the year and carry that momentum all the way through until the following year, essentially. A film that just did that, Everything Everywhere. Film before that, Get Out. Before that, Black Panther. When you look at those films, they were able to go from very early in the calendar year, March, right? February for Black Panther, Get Out was around then, and carry that all the way through. Very difficult, a whole calendar year. So can Dune do that. Here's what I would say about Dune, though. You look at the schedule for next year, and I'll tell you, there can't be as many big films as this year. You don't have a Nolan film. You don't have a Fincher film, even though no one's talking about The Killer. Still haven't watched it. I will. I already broke my Netflix rule, so why not? Okay. So also, you don't have a Scorsese film, right? We're just going through the bit. You do have a Bong film. So Bong's coming in, and that one's early in the year too. That's interesting. If they stick with that date for the Bong film, I'm very curious if that doesn't mean they don't have a lot of trust in that. Because if you did, you would probably hold it. Now, I'm not sure on the date. Let me see if I can get hold on. I really should have had this ready. This is what I get for not being prepared and just hitting the button and doing things live. All right, here we go. Entertainment Weekly's got a whole article. Let's just do this live. Let's do it live, everybody. Hey, this is perfect. You know why this is perfect? It's EW's 24 most anticipated movies of 24. So this could be my article. I'm going to steal it like everybody else does. I'm going to steal this like the president of Harvard stole all of her thesis papers. I'm just going to swipe things because plagiarism's cool now, right? So this is my article I wrote. EW's 24 most anticipated movies of 2024 in honor of the Harvard president, who stole literally everything she ever wrote, apparently. We can't wait to see all. Okay, here we go. Let's count them down. They have The Beekeeper on here. Oh my God, that movie's so bad. Wait till you guys see that. Wait till you see the screenplay. Like, my God. Lisa Frankenstein, that trailer looks terrible. Okay, they're just going through the year at this point. This is Me, Now the Film with Jennifer Lopez. Now, none of this matters. Okay, now we get to the real one. Dune 2. Of course, we just said that's a guarantee. We know we want to see Dune 2. Let's keep going down the list. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Can I just say that this is not an awards film, obviously. First of all, Jake Gyllenhaal and I share something in common. You guys see what it is? Oh my God, people are hitting the dislike button right now. We have something in common. Do you guys know what it is? Do you guys? Okay, guess what? You ready? Everyone's gonna lose. Everyone's gonna get angry. Don't care because I'm just gonna do it because I'm just to tweak some people out there. This is what we have in common. That's me, and there's Jake. All right. So anyhow, that's fair, right? Thank you. Exactly. Thank you, guys. You guys are brutal. I have great. Screw you guys. Listen, but okay, fine. But from an upper body perspective, come on, guys. All right, let's go back. I love Roadhouse. Okay, can I tell you a story can I just do that? Can I tell you a little story about when I was an usher at the Northland 8 in Columbus, Ohio? So when I was, looking for a job, was I in college? I don't remember what year, but it was Roadhouse. It was 89. I worked at a theater, the Northland 8 in Columbus, and my job was to clean up the theaters as the movie, just like an usher and a cleaner and all that shit does, right? Okay. Guess what movies were in theaters that summer? You ready for this? Gremlins 2, Roadhouse, Karate Kid 3. Those three in particular, I remember. I watched those films every time I had a break from cleaning up one of the places. I watched one of those three films. And I watched Roadhouse, I don't know how many times in theaters, 10 plus times at the end of the day. I love Brad Wesley. I love Swayze's character. I love what's his ass, from Up in the Air. The character actor is great with Sam Elliott. He's so good in that. And then you've got Terry Funk in that movie. Roadhouse kicks ass. Anyone who doesn't love Roadhouse, I don't love you. I don't have anything that you got. No, I think it was 89. Was it 90? Okay, it's fine. It was 90. So I want to see Roadhouse. I mean, look at Jake. Jake's looking jacked, right? He looked good in that boxing movie. What was that thing called? It wasn't that great, the boxing movie. But he got in really good shape. Gyllenhaal, he's busting his ass. He's not working as hard as me, but he's working out pretty hard. So I can't wait for Roadhouse. So there's one. Let's see what else we got coming up. Let's roll down. There it is. There's the Bong movie. Now remember, it's Mickey 17. So the problem with this is, look at the date, everybody. March 29th. March 29th is not a good day. That's too early in the year. Why are you putting because the movie might not be that good. If you think the movie's good, you do not release it early in the year. Because why? We just talked about it. It's very hard to drag a movie from early to all the way through. Very difficult to do that. As such, I would expect Mickey 17 to underwhelm just based on the date. Just based on the date, I would take your expectations for Mickey 17 and squash them a bit. Unless it moves, let's hope it does, because that will mean it's probably decent. Civil War, I don't know what to say about that. I don't need to see a movie that's going to raise tensions even more, right? We're already at the point where we're almost about ready to see this movie in real life. I don't really think, even though I like Garland, not Men, but Ex Machina and Annihilation, but not as much as Ex Machina is like all time. Love that film. Like, you talk about the best sci-fi film of the past couple decades. You're talking about Ex Machina right in there, right up there. Civil War. Okay, let's keep going. Challengers is the film from Luca that was delayed. It was supposed to come out this award season. They pushed it to April. Again, that date tells me the film is not really an awards film because it's too early in the year. Remember, you don't want that film to come out too early. It's very hard to drag the momentum all the way through the year. Fall Guy, I can't wait because it looks fun. I mean, Fall Guy looks like a fun movie, doesn't it? I like Leach. I liked Bullet Train more than a lot of you. I love him as a director for action films, and Ryan Gosling has so much charisma. Him and Blunt, but I love Ryan Gosling. I have my man crushes. It's Brad Pitt. It's Gosling. Daniel Kaluuya, I'm going to throw him. Daniel Kaluuya just is a total badass. Like, his eyes. When you look at Daniel Kaluuya, like, that guy will fuck you up. Go watch Widows. If you haven't seen Widows, he plays a bad guy in that. Kaluuya, you're like, oh, that's what I want to see. I want to see Kaluuya as like a serial killer. Someone write that movie. Maybe we should we'll crowdsource write that. Can we do that on a stream? We'll write the script live. We should do some shit like that. The Fall Guy I'm looking forward to. Back to Black. What the hell is that? It's the Amy Winehouse thing. Okay. So that's out in May. That's really early for awards. That seems like an awards film. Listen, I know you guys are going to hate me for this. Not a big fan of Mad Max Fury Road. I mean, I love the filmmaking, but as far as it is a chase, right? It's one giant chase. I get it, but that didn't do enough for me. But from the filmmaking perspective, the problem with Furiosa is, when I watched the trailer, it looks like there's a shit ton of effects in this. The other one had so much practical. Did they just go in and CGI all this? Because if they did, then it's not going to be as good. That's what made that film interesting, is the fact that it was all practical. Ballerina is the John Wick extension with Ana de Armas. I mean, whatever, right? Inside Out 2, hopefully. Let's just hope. Can we just tonight, let's put our hands together and offer up a prayer that Disney does not over-wokeify this film. Okay. And you guys know I'm not even the anti-woke guy, right? Me attacking poor things has nothing to do with woke. I hope you know, right? If that's woke, we got fucking problems. Okay. That's not a woke issue. But all I want to say is, please, Disney, do not wokeify the shit out of Inside Out 2. Just make a good film. You know what? Migration. A lot of you haven't seen it yet. Go watch it. That's how you make a film. You make a film that doesn't have an agenda. It just is normal. There's no listen, I know it sounds like a joke when I say this, but it's really true. In Migration, there's not, hey, here's our friend Janie who's a trans duck. Now, listen, I'm not against trans. I mean, it's all, my accountant is trans. It's fine. But my point is when you make it like a thing in every one of your films, which Disney tends to do, it's like, can we just not make it a thing? Can we just like either have it organic or just whatever? And then someone's going to yell, well, what about all the straight? Let's not get into that. You guys know what I'm talking about. So when they try to inject this here, we're going to wedge this in and make it feel all uncomfortable because we have to do it. You don't have to do it. Don't do it. Please stop. And I'm not even the anti-woke guy. I'm not nerdrotic or some shit. That's all they talk about. He has to go instantly into a movie, and I think Gary's actually seems like a smart guy. But when you have to go into a movie already ready to tear it apart because it's woke like Black Little Mermaid. I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to do. Now, film doesn't work, different story. But who cares if the mermaid, if Ariel's black? Who cares? Like, what does that matter? It shouldn't matter. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Does she have a good voice? Yes, she does. I mean, I actually semi-enjoyed the film. That song, the Aquafina song on the bed with the crab, that was, no one's defending that. But some of the moments were good. Quiet Place Day One, I really look forward to that because I think Quiet Place 2 is fantastic. I think I loved Quiet Place 2. It's tight. I just want this. It's like 1:30. Please give me another tight Quiet Place Day One. I mean, we already know what the movie is. They arrive. But still, I'm down for that. I'm always down for a good alien invasion movie. Deadpool is just going to slay. Guys, this is $1 billion film. We know that. That's not even a question. Going to be insane. This thing's going to be making so much cash. Because it is, yes, a CBM, and CBMs are in big trouble unless they're Deadpool films, right? Or Spider-Man. But you've got Jackman and Reynolds. Come on, man. This film is just going to absolutely bank cash. Alien, there's another Alien? Oh, my God. Oh, Fede Alvarez is doing it. That means it's going to be violent as hell. Okay, I'm cool for that, but that's an August movie. Beetlejuice 2, whatever. I'm not as big a fan as Beetlejuice as the rest of y'all, but it's fine. Then you got Joker. Hello, we're all excited for that. No question about it. Gladiator 2, which, of course, Paul Mescal. Love him. Unbelievable. There's a guy. There's a man crush, too. I'll add him to the list. Gladiator 2 should be really good. Wicked Part 1, not really all that excited. Saw the Broadway show. It's fine. Nosferatu, they've been test screening that forever. That always scares me. When they have test screenings as much as they did, and I got invited many times. No, I shouldn't. No, hold on. When I say that I got invited to Nosferatu, I didn't. I was walking into AMC, and the guy hands me a thing and says, hey, do you want to see Nosferatu? And I'm like, I would love to see this movie. But they won't let me in. As soon as I show up, they go, that's Weber. You can't come in. And I'm like, why? But here's the thing is why. I wouldn't here's the deal. If a studio invited me to see a test screening of a film, I'm not going to tell. I know you guys don't. I don't I don't burn sources. I get direct messages from people all the time. Crazy shit. I don't ever burn a source. Okay. So if I'm going to go watch a test screening, I'm not going to tell you all what I saw. I wouldn't even mention it. If they brought me in to watch Nosferatu, and I'd say, but they don't ever want, like, why don't you want me to come? I know what I'm doing. You got these yahoos going into these test screenings, don't even know what they're talking about. They fill out shit and make the film worse. Invite me. Let me come in and make your film better. And, how would I make Poor Things better? I wouldn't make it. That's it. Get rid of it. Scrap the entire thing. But for most films, I would have a few notes to change this or that. Great example. Today I watched Naiad, which is another Netflix movie, which Jodie Foster works out at my gym. So I felt like it was my duty to, at least if I bump into her at tomorrow when I'm doing my chest workout, that I say hello to Jodie, that I saw her film. She's very good in it. I don't like a lot of the choices directorially in that film. The two co-directors directed that Free Solo. Was that what it was? The documentary. And I don't like some of the choices in that film. At all. And I would definitely, if I had watched a test screening of that, said, listen, guys, let's not do that. That's not working. And let's try something different here. That's the thing is like, I feel like I really have a big time value in spotting things. And I go, that's not the right, I like what you're doing here, but here's what I would do instead. I would switch this, cut this, do this, bring this down. Great example. Okay. So if you ask me, what's a perfect example of something I would change? Go back to Drive, a movie I adore. I've watched Drive probably 100 times. I'm not kidding you. It's the reason I moved back to LA. When I saw that film in Boston, I go, I'm going back to LA because Drive is LA. Drive is like everything LA. And it's not it's the ugly LA, right? It's the gritty ass LA. And I love that film for how it portrays, outsiders in a town, that is so expansive, to say the least. But it's when you watch Drive, you have the scene, obviously the elevator head stomping scene. Okay, first off, very simple. This is very simple. It's a very easy fix. You've got him stomping that guy's head in. You do not show the final boot crushing the skull like a pumpkin. You don't do it. You either make the sound, you do something. In fact, I think what's even better is this, right? You've got him going, he's making the face and he's going, right? He's doing all that. And then I think at the end, what's even stronger as a choice is to solo up, have him just to look on his face and just go, ugh, and he just goes like this, right? He's just like this, and he's seething. You don't see the head, and then he opens his eyes, and maybe you can see him take his foot off. That is, see what now. I understand that that's a little thing, what I'm saying, but if you think about it in a big picture, if you were to insert that scene and do it how I say, it's a better film. I know it. I'm 100%, because for whatever reason, I don't know why, but I have this, like, dare I say, gift to see something and go, okay, this is exactly what needs to happen here. You need to twist, turn, and cut and paste and do this. And I think it's a creative consultant situation. The studios, for whatever reason, they're scared of me. I've had many producers tell me through DM, and I'm not talking, guys, this is not, I don't, first of all, let me explain one more thing for those of you who've never watched the show. If you, maybe the first time, maybe you've watched it before, you've heard me say this. I have never once in the history of MMT come on the show and ever made a single thing up. Everything I tell you is truth, because I am a truth teller. Think of me as Jim Carrey from Liar Liar. I can't lie. It's very hard for me. So here's the reality, is I have producers who've come in and said the studios are scared of you. They're very much aware of who you are because of how you destroy films and just steamroll and have no regard and no fear in doing so. Nobody has that skill. And I say, it's fine. I get what you're saying, but they shouldn't use that as a negative. You use that as a positive, in that maybe I can actually turn this into something better, because I guarantee out of 9 out of 10 films I watch, I could have at least one suggestion to make the film better. And typically it's a runtime issue, right? It's, let's bring this in at 130, not 210. Color Purple. Okay, so example, I'll get some comments here. When you look at Color Purple, a lot of you haven't seen it, go see it. I liked it a lot. Even if you've seen the 85 classic, I think you'll like the musical. It's well directed, it's choreographed, extremely strong, and you've got performances across the board, very good. Here's what I'd do with Color Purple. I would cut 2 or 3 songs. There needs to be an extraction of 3 songs. And it's what's interesting in Warner Brothers. Someone over there is watching, because they do. I know at least one executive's over there watching the stream. If not now, in the replay. Let me tell you something. You had the same problem with In the Heights. You have an issue where you allow the filmmaker to go too far. And Netflix clearly has this issue. But In the Heights and Color Purple both suffer from the same problem. There's too many songs, and the runtime is 220 on each one. You need to bring those films in at 155, which means you need to cut at least 3 songs. 3 songs plus some scenes. And that is not easy to cut, but you got to do it. Someone has to go talk to these directors and say, we got to cut. Let's do this collaboratively, and let's figure out what stays, what goes, and let's make this a better film. Color Purple could be a great film at 155. At 220, it's too long. There's too many songs. And why are we doing this? Why exactly, Tucker? And that's the other half of this. It's a great point. How often do you look at the runtime of a film and say, I'm out? I'm not going, right? I mean, if you see a runtime of 3 hours, you're instantly like, man, this better be Scorsese. This better be Nolan. This better be Bong. I'm not just going to watch a 3-hour film. It better be a comic book movie. That's kind of it limits your audience, because they're going to look at the runtime and go, nope, 84 minutes. Hell yeah, let's go. So you don't want to create that issue where they see that 220 runtime, because maybe, Tucker, you would go see it if it's 155, right? Yes, Luis, it is part of being reviewing a film. Okay, can we address this too, and then we'll go a little bit longer, not too much longer. I mean, maybe we go 130 tonight, a little longer, because there's a lot of you here, and I appreciate it. By the way, for those of you who are new to the stream, I appreciate you being here. Whether you like or dislike what comes out of the microphone, the fact that you choose to watch, I do appreciate that. It's never about that. It's never about views or likes. It's about getting on here and talking about things we love. And, if I trash a poor things, it's because I truly believe, the things I'm saying. I'm not trying to get engagement. I've never once done that, and I never plan to. It's just not how I operate. But, when you look at reviewing a film, let's be honest with each other. You've got a couple things you got to do. First of all, you have to be fearless. You have to be. You cannot worry about what anyone else says. is you go back and you watch Siskel and Ebert, and they talked about that great debate. And some night, maybe next week, we'll pull it out and I'll play the whole thing. It's the debate. They're talking on the show. It's like one of these kind of the conversation with Siskel and Ebert, and they talk about being fearless and having a critic that wants to be wanting to be part of a group. And Siskel really, really nailed this. And it's also on my Twitter feed somewhere. It was my pinned tweet for the longest time before I put the shirtless picture on there. It's so important that you not worry about what other people think, because if you worry about what other people think of you, you are going to limit yourself exponentially, and you are going to be stifled creatively or any which way you want to go in life. You need to be fearless. You need to be like, I am going to go and not worry about what anyone has to say about my situation. I'm going to be doing what I feel is valid for me. And that doesn't mean go out and do things that are bad, but you know what I mean? Like, so many people are limited by, oh, what will they think of me? Doesn't matter. Their opinion of you is not your business. It doesn't matter. And so many people are worried about, oh, is film Twitter going to get angry? Is someone going to think I'm dumb for not liking Poor Things or saying these things about these movies? That's fine. I don't care. Because if you believe the truth, yes, you're right. Correct. It's a big part of it. But here's the other half of that. And this is the truth. And again, this is going to be painful to say. And some people are going to not like hearing this, but it's the reality. Why is Simon so popular or hated on American Idol? Now he's on, what is that? America's Best Talent or whatever it's called. Top Talent. Because he has no filter. And he says what he believes to be the truth, and he tells people point blank they're not good at it. We have, and I've said this many times, and this is the truth, and you guys know I'm right. We have a lot of people in the film space that are writing reviews and discussing films that don't have a lot of talent at this. I mean, that's just the reality, okay? Now, I know that's mean. I don't care. I grew up Gen X, man. We don't care. We said shit to each other's faces, man. I remember one time I got into a fight with my best friend, Keith. And Keith and I were like best friends. It was like 6th or 7th grade. We went outside the house, and remember the old days, you'd ride your bike around, you'd leave the bike out in the front yard. Well, he said something, and I said, oh, yeah. And we started, guys, you don't understand. We started beating the living shit out of each other. I'm talking knocking each other. This is like fisticuffs out of a movie, like slobber knockers. Like, this is insane. 5 minutes later, we were all inside of my friend's Mike's house going, hey, guys, we want some lemonade. But we did things and we didn't care, and we got into fights and we just said whatever. And the reality is yes, I get it. It might be mean to say this, but just because you want to talk about films doesn't mean you're good at it. Some people would say that about me. So be it. What did I just say before that? Don't worry about what other people say about you. But my point is, you got to be honest with yourself. Ultimately, here's the deal. You cannot bullshit yourself and pretend to be something you're not. It's never going to work. And I think that's what you get here at this channel, right? You watch and you're like, this guy, at least, even if I don't agree with him, he is 100% authentic. There is no bullshit being spoken through this microphone to you. None. Zero. I don't have time for it. I don't want to do it. It's not who I am. So when you operate that way, then that is the best way, because I think a lot of people try to put on a mask or an act for being liked or being whatever. And this is not any of that. This is, my whole stance is this. I don't talk about shit. I do shit. Okay. When I talk about, we just saw Jake Gyllenhaal shirtless. I'm like, look, and I bring up a picture of me at the gym. You guys are like, fuck you. He is. I mean, you can't debate these things with me because I live them. When you live the things, you can't be challenged because you're like, I live this. What, you're going to challenge me? You don't live it, you talk it. Not you guys, but you know what I mean. The people who they don't do it. This isn't doing it. Doing it's doing it. And then you have strength that you possess because you have the experience, and also hopefully you have the talent to make that connection that's all important, being fearless and talented. Those are two things you're looking for. All of Us Strangers is one of my favorite films of the year, top 10 film for us here at MMT. It is an elegant film. It is a beautiful film, a haunting film, and it needs to be seen. I know it's getting the slow rollout. You need to add it to your list. No question, All of Us Strangers. And that's a film that should be Searchlight's #1 film. I could not agree more. I've said that repeatedly throughout this award season. What a shame it is that you have a studio that is raising garbage art in Poor Things when you have a true work of art in All of Us Strangers, and it's getting no attention. Zero. That is an incredible disservice to cinema, and that's it's sad. It's really sad. It's a great film, and so is Zone of Interest. Those are two films you're going to get to late this year. You've got to see them early this year, but late in 2023. I saw Champions last night. Needed a feel good movie. It's simple. It is. Kuzma, great call. Open comment, by the way, guys. Anything you want to talk about for a few minutes? I agree. Champions is a fun film, and it's also, I think it treats its subject, obviously Down syndrome, right? All the kids have some form of disability, of Down syndrome, or some kind of mental issue that they have to work through, and the way that it's treated with levity is strong. I love Champions. It's one of my favorite films of the year. I should have actually had it in my top 10, because you talk about a film that I enjoyed watching and I've watched multiple times and has such a great message. Is it cliche? My God, yes. We've seen that a million times in every movie. And not all of it works either, okay? Not all the screenplay works. But again, the moments that do work, getting back to Maestro, when we have things that work so well, like Champions and the treatment of those kids, and I think one of my favorite, little tiny edit scenes, right? The kind of the what's it called? Where we run through. It's the quick passage of time. God, the words pass, completely losing my mind right now. When you watch Champions, watch when they introduce the squad and Cheech Marin's talking about the kids. That montage, thank you. When it goes through and they go through each of the kids, it's so well executed. It's very well directed. The screenplay is not perfect, but it's a very charming film. I really liked it. And that's high praise. If I love a film, I loved it. Distribution this year has been miserable. Can't even form an opinion on Poor Things because it hasn't been there. You're lucky. Consider yourself very lucky. I thought Poor Things was all right. It wasn't bad or amazing. Oh, you guys know I had a vehement reaction to that, along with Bottoms. That movie's terrible too. Oh my God. Jeremy Lin was the main issue with In the Heights. Horrible director. Yeah, I mean, direction was it Jeremy Lin? No, that's not Jeremy Lin. You're thinking of the basketball player. It's Justin Lin, isn't it? Who? Okay, I've been doing the stream too long, All right, let's see if I'm gonna make sure I didn't get miss any super comments, super chats, and then I think I'm gonna get ready to roll. My brain's fried. That was fun. It was fun, guys. Sunday nights are fun. We're only really doing Sunday night now for this foreseeable future too, because coming up on Thursdays, there just isn't anything to talk about box office wise. You're talking about films like The Beekeeper and Night Swim. There's just no reason. I'd rather save the show for a Sunday. We can talk about big picture ideas. If you have an idea for a show, a comment, just like, listen, you guys know, I don't really, the countdown shows are fine. We can talk about, the best, this and that. I prefer, and you guys can tell when you watch the show, I prefer to do big ideas, right? Big ideas, not like talking about, I don't get me wrong, I want to talk about the details, but I'd rather talk about bigger ideas within film and then use that to move into something else too. We can certainly talk about other things. I think at some point I'm also going to start some kind of fitness. I don't know what it's going to be yet. It'll probably just be like short little videos of what I've done personally to get myself in condition. And by the way, I'm not 28 anymore. So the fact that I'm still kicking ass at my age, which is not 28, is that's the key, is that I know what works. And when I tell you guys how to do something, it's because of experience. It's not because I'm making it up. There's so many people in that fitness space that make a bunch of bullshit up that I know they're talking about. I watch them. You don't know what you're talking about. It's like when I read some of these film things, you don't know what you're talking about. How do you have an audience? That's why the fitness space has to be next, because I have to go in there and actually spit truth, spit facts. Because right now we live in a world where anybody can say whatever they want to do and whatever they are. I am a fitness expert. What for what? How? Show me, see yourself shirtless. My God, what? If I do that, right? You guys, okay, last time, then we're out. If I show this, say, hey, let's do a fitness thing, and you're like, well, are you not going to at least say this guy sort of knows what he's talking about? Sort of knows. That's the point. We have to come from a space where you have some experience with what you're talking about. Last award season was 100% better than this award season. I told you guys that. It's an early comment. I'm sorry I didn't get to it till now. No question. Last year, my top 4 films would be the top 4 films of. That's a good idea. Would be the top 4 films of this year. Tar, After Sun, Decision to Leave, and Moon Age Daydream would all be ahead of the Holdovers. Holdovers would be number 5 for me. So all 4 of those films would be ahead of my top 10 That's pretty bad. That shows you last year was way better. So maybe we'll start a Midnight Fitness Talk. We could do that. We could actually start doing maybe a stream like on a Tuesday or something that has nothing to do with movies. It'll just be, we'll call it, it'll probably be MMT Gets Freaky. And it'll just end up being stuff like those cams I show you that are insane, and stuff like crazy captures and stuff, and discuss like weird things. And then we can talk about fitness, whatever. It could be like literally anything, because that, when you do MMT, we're obviously drilling down on movies. So I don't want to, when I start doing some of that other stuff, you guys are like, well, I want to talk movies. So if we do something that's different, like, I don't even know when, it might just be like a Wednesday and I'm like, I just want to talk, and I'll fire it up at about the same time, and we just start talking about weird shit and gym and just weird things. That would be something I could do. And then, and I'll probably end up shooting some videos. I got to get someone to come with me into the gym, because ultimately that'll make it a lot easier for me to show you guys how to do this stuff. I will say this, as we think about pivoting into that space in the near future, is that whatever would be my advice for that would work. And because I can tell you right now, when I was ask any of my friends when I was in high school and even before that, I was skinny as hell. I'm not big now. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I look decent with a shirt off, but I'm not like the biggest guy. But I can promise you this, that I know what works. I know how to get it done. Like, if you want to get something done, and I can tell you how to do it. Even listen, you guys know my jump. My leg's not to be big, but the jump's good. I can help you do it. And ultimately, this is not, and I will never ever be in a space where you have these people that are out there and they are hucksters, right? It's not real. They're not real people. They're creating something that they're not even truthful to. And ultimately, that is who I am. And you guys know that from watching the stream, that's ultimately the only way I know how to live, is to be truthful, centered, and forever forward. Forever forward. As Chris Pine says in the vastly underrated, "Don't worry, darling, we will push forward." And that's going to do it. I think that's the line from MMT here on this Sunday night. Thanks for being here. A like, subscribe. I say, don't say it. Well, I just said it at the end of the stream. Thanks for being here, guys. Always a pleasure. Look for the reactions as I see the films. And maybe we start midweek something random, just a random show talking about stuff. But until then, next Sunday for sure, back here on the Sunday Night Spectacular, a regular Sunday, not a Golden Globes post-game show. Thanks for being here, guys. As always, peace. Next time, I'll see you live from LA. Peace out.